Hello there, Globers! From north to south, east to west, we at Globing News Channel got you covered on whatever happens in the Globe Glop scene. And today, you will witness the Fusion Cup's grand finals. And to top it all off, it is a rematch between Guns N Mohawks and Trigger Happy Havoc. I'm Katashi, your host for the Globe News Channel and the Fusion Cup. This is Zalkmir, the rank 1 overall and famous for his ABCOs. Together, we'll be doing this match's commentary. Before we begin our pre-match analysis and look at the players' loadouts, however, let's take a look at the journey thus far. In the first round, Spiky Boomsticks faced off against Trigger Happy Havoc, of which Trigger Happy Havoc won 2-1. Meanwhile, Guns N Mohawks swept Ramira 2-0. Next, Guns N Mohawks defeated Trigger Happy Havoc 2-1 after a long and grueling match, knocking them down to the losers bracket. On the other hand, Spiky Boomstick successfully eliminated Ramira in a 2-0 sweep in round 1 of the losers bracket, qualifying them to a rematch against Trigger Happy Havoc for 3rd place. However, unfortunately for Spiky Boomsticks, Trigger Happy Havoc came up on top once more, and now that brings us here. Trigger Happy Havoc have successfully pulled themselves out of the depths of the loser bracket and come face to face with the Fusion Cup's final boss. Can they do it? Alright, let's revisit the player loadouts one last time. This is your cue to leave, guys. First, Guns N Mohawks, the undefeated team, with Mr. Vertex at the helm, who wields 2 judges and an explosive battle rifle, along with Nepenthes Bathomet's Slayer and Cubes. This team's close to mid-range combat is top-notch. Stan's long-range support with his battle rifles and traps make this team undefeated for a reason. Here are the range charts, which just show how devastating this team is up close. However, if you focus too much on Nep and Vertex, you'll be caught in a pit of caltrops surrounded by floating explosive balls going towards you. Next, Trigger Happy Havoc. This team is led by the one and only game developer Dr. Science, who guides along the chibi artists Grief and Gunter. With Doc's dual ricochet and homing SMGs, along with his 2 programs in Barrier, he can comfortably support his frontliners, Grief and Gunter. Grief is a very deadly assassin, with great sword skill and even more deadly snipes. Meanwhile, Gunter is equally intimidating, with his blink-behind Slayer hits. As you can see with the range charts, this team is super well-rounded, with close range from both Grief and Gunter, mid-range from Doc, and long range from Grief. Can this well-rounded Dark Horse defeat the undefeated team Guns N Mohawks and get revenge for their last match? Quick reminder, this match is a best of 5 rounds, so the first to 3 rounds3-round wins will be crowned Fusion Cup champion. Alright, enough with that rant. Let's move on to our pre-match analysis. Lockmere, what do you think?
Well, I think the biggest X factor here is going to be Grief's ability to get his one-hit KOs with a sniper rifle versus Stan the Man, the RBR fan, who places traps like only a commando can. Those are probably going to be the biggest X factor in the grand scheme of things here, because both can fight at a long range, can support their team, and very quickly turn the tide, whether it be Stan wearing people down with Ricochet Battle Rifle or Grief ending one of Stan's teammates with a single shot, including Stan himself. Even if Stan's team has the momentum, that can very quickly turn around if Grief can land a killing blow at a distance, and that's something they got to watch out for, because their team does not have a similar thing. They can only do chip damage and wear them down unless Vertex happens to catch someone weak with his explosive battle rifle. On the flip side, you have Gunter and Nep up close with their Slayer. Slayer is a very dangerous tool and can very quickly cut someone down. And with the amount of chip damage both teams can lay down here, Slayer has a very high potential of just ending someone in a thought. So that's something that they got to watch out for, especially if the two square off against each other. It's going to come down who can ever get that first blow. Something that I think Gunter is very, very much keeping in mind given how their previous match went. And last, you got Doc and Vertex both laying down gun support for their team, with Doc more laying it on from a chip damage point of view, including the ability to bring out cubes to the fight, while Vertex has a bit more lethality using his shotguns and his explosive battle rifle. So you got Vertex, who's probably going to play it a bit more closer to the line, while Doc is going to play it a bit further away in order to stay alive to keep his team going. So overall here, I think Trigger Happy Havoc is going in a little bit as the underdogs here, but because of Grief's sniping skills, that can very quickly turn to their advantage if they can get themselves into a 3-on-2 situation.
Yeah, in the last match, one of the rounds they won, I'm pretty sure they won that round. Grief picked Vertex early off, picked Vertex off very early with a really good headshot that he didn't even mean to. So, match has
But
begun.
Gunter and Doc started out right next to each other. Very fortunate for them.
We see Doc with double barrier. Only one cube, which is a hunter. Gunter taking hunter also. Vertex without a battle rifle. Ooh. Well, Stan goes his usual loadout. And so does Grief. He does not bring Pelican this game. Nep gets a hit on Doc. Doc down 125. He starts spraying. Gunter dangerously close to Doc there. Vertex watching from afar down a leg. Takes a shot, misses. Now Gunter chases Stan out. Grief gets a hit on someone. I don't know who that was. Nep is down 140 without stability. And they have all disengaged. Oh, nope, never mind. Vertex does great damage to Grief, down to 64 already.
Down goes
Down
Grief.
goes Grief early. Now Doc's team may be in a bit of a bind here. Gunter chooses to go in. But with his low stability, I'm not sure that would be smart. Gets pelted. He disengages. Now Doc, missing a leg, he's alone.
Had a fall back there.
Not sure what those hunters could do. And Doc goes down. I mean, Gunter goes down, not Doc. Doesn't Nep have Bounder? He does. Doc hiding in a building would not be smart.
You switch between the other three. Alright, I'll switch the other three. Just stay on Doc.
Okay. Doc sends forward.
There it
Ooh,
is.
that's the first round. That was quite quick.
Very speedy round there with Stan carrying with 2 kills, with the rest of his team assisting in on the rest there.
Yep. Let's pause.
That being said, though, Doc's team lost the first round last time to get here, so that definitely does not mean anything in the grand scheme of things for them. They can easily come back here in the next 2. Alright, so we got their starting positions here, and honestly, a big factor early on, I'm gonna have to say here is Stan, I think, had the biggest all impact that match, being able to continuously do chip damage at afar because Grief was taken out early. Both of those I think are the biggest contributing factors here. That being said, could a very different match here as we see Gunter lands solid hit on Vertex, force Vertex back. He was down the leg as he tries to find another target. Realizes Stan is going to be up here to his right and goes in. Stan managing to stay out of the range. If Gunter had managed to pin Stan down here and land that killing blow, that very different match throughout the rest of it here. But Stan is understands where his weaknesses lie and knows to stay back in those situations and not give Slayer even a chance at ending him. See Grief coming along here. Grief already at 64 health and is trying his best, but can't get away from Stan, who picks him off on the tower, and Vertex chipping away with Judge. And then at that point, it becomes a 3v2. Nep lands a very good blow on Doc, weakening him further, but Doc manages to hit Nep with return fire and force Nep back, so he can't end Doc just yet. As Doc and Gunter desperately try to hold off the 3v2, but Gunter goes down to Vertex using Judge, leaving it as a 3v1. And we'll have to see if they try to prioritize keeping Grief alive longer and having Grief play a bit more conservatively, because Grief, having a sniper rifle really is the biggest factor in terms of eliminating Stan. Grief really gives them their best chance to keep the momentum on their side. It's right here. Yeah, see, very, very well executed 3v1. They caught Doc right in the middle there. You have Stan chipping away at a distance. You have Nep here on the left, shooting down Bounder, and you have Vertex on the right, shooting with Judge. Doc was not getting out of that. Doc went down swinging, but that was a very well executed envelopment on Guns N Mohawks' part.
Mm-hmm.
Were we at time-wise?
Minute 49.
Minute 49? All right. So for predictions for next match here, I think that Trigger Happy Havoc, they're going to prioritize keeping Grief alive a bit longer, and Grief maybe playing a bit further back with his melee, because if they can, because Stan was a real menace this match, and if they manage to take down Stan early, that is going to be the biggest advantage for Trigger Happy Havoc, because then that lets them focus more on Vertex and Nep, who are highly mobile, but having someone that can support Gunter with melee or having someone that can cover Doc from afar with a sniper rifle is going to make it a lot easier for them to be able to hold off and eventually beat the remaining two members of Guns N Mohawk. On the flip side, I don't think there's much else Guns N Mohawk need to do differently here. They seem to have well executed whatever plan they had in mind this match, given the fact that they got through it without a single casualty. Nep got pretty banged up here. Vertex got pretty banged up here. Stan was fresh. Stan didn't take a single point of damage that entire match. So that could be a very big game changer in terms of how the match plays out. If Stan can just continue riding this momentum and really continuing to be the biggest impact on the field at the moment. Any thoughts on your part, Katashi?
Honestly, from what I could tell from this match, it just seems like... honestly, Grief tried to go get an early pick, but he couldn't, and his downfall led to a spiral of his team falling one by one. They should have stayed grouped more, but honestly, Guns N Mohawks just did really well in that one. That hi Vertex. Alright. Gunter has Crusader. And Bombless. And a cube. Vertex is battle rifleless. Doc with 2 cubes this time. No part. And same with Nep. It seems Gunter's going for an early pick here. He finds Stan. Misses his bolts. Vertex chasing Gunter. Large damage on Gunter. And he's low on stability. And his teammates cover him. Grief goes in early. Huge damage on Doctor's part. Ooh.
Huge damage on Nep.
Stan's on 75.
Stan is down.
Nep is also on 72. Vertex not banged up at all. Grief slight damage. Good Hunter. Vertex 164. He doesn't have his explosive battle rifle, so he can't support his teammates from afar. Doc's Hunter does damage to Nep. Nep is
down.
Doc is
combination
doing great.
effort. Didn't show there in the kill feed there, but Gunter got some good hits in with Crusader from behind, which allowed Doc to secure the kill. Now it's a 3-on-1 effort
Gunter
against Vertex.
Finds Vertex. Vertex takes a few shots. Gunter lands his pellet on Vertex. Vertex getting homed on by Doc's homing. He's at 52. Grief tries to get a pick with the sniper. Vertex masterfully blocks that homing. But he shields down because he needs to attack. Doc sends a Hunter. Oh, good dodge from Vertex. He's at 16 HP now. Gunter going in a bit too aggressive.
Oh, this could be it. There it is. Gunter bringing bomblets ended up being the final blow on Vertex.
That round was
Couldn't get
super
away.
fast.
What a very exciting round there. Basically the reverse of the previous round where it ended up being a 3-on-1 on Doc. This time it was a 3-on-1 on Vertex. With tying up the match results to be 1-1 here. Very, very decisive turnaround time. Like I said at the end of last round, just because Trigger Happy Havoc went down the first doesn't mean that that's going to be that and set the tone. They managed to stop Guns N Mohawks momentum and keep pace here. It was a very fast and furious fight from the get-go.
Yep.
Early on here, and I think the biggest deciding factor is going to be Grief hunting down Stan with a passion. Doc also landing very, very high damage
In
on
my
Nep, bringing him.
opinion, I think Doc was the MVP for this round. His homing SMGs did so much chip damage that it just left the rest of the picks for Grief and Gunter.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a factor here. But as we see, Gunter here just ran by. I would say shadow candidate here for the MVP of that round too is Gunter. Gunter, right here, you already putting down some bomblets. He had bomblets set up back there, which that's called foreshadowing. And right here, Nep's charging at Doc. Gunter swung away. I think he got 2 hits in there,
I think.
and then Doc
Yeah.
finished him off with homing. Didn't give Gunter the assist, but he got the assist in all our hearts, I think.
It's okay. It's on video
Now,
proof. That's all that matters. Yep.
yeah, now here they are trying to hunt down Vertex. Vertex, who understands the position he is in, is trying to stay at distance, get some good chip damage on Gunter while backing off further. But Doc is relentless with those homing SMGs, and Vertex is just getting eaten up. Having to use barrier at the cost of some of his attack power here. But right there, intercepts a hunter, which is a good job while Gunter tries to
Grief is
approach.
watching from the top,
But
trying to get the snipe. She
almost takes
jumps
out
down.
Gunter, forcing Vertex to fall back. And Vertex is doing a full retreat, trying to set back up.
He
That hunter
dodges that
almost brought
hunter.
him down.
He uses the
But right
terrain.
here, Vertex knows he has to fall back further. And remember that foreshadowing? Well, there it is. That bomblets took him right out. And being only at 16 health from Doc's hunter, just meant Vertex had no chance considering how much mobility he used to try to retreat in the first place. So very, very intense match. Very short compared to that first one, but the results are undeniable as Trigger Happy Havoc ties it up with a 1-1.
You're showing your stuff.
There's nothing on there.
Okay. Good. We still have 2 minutes. This is awkward. So which audience
Well,
would?
predictions for the
Yeah,
next time.
true.
Beak said he already had the server ready.
Okay, thank you, Beak.
For when they're done. So not yet, but we have it ready. Unless they. But yeah, Katashi, what do you think? What adjustments might be made by both teams here?
I think Gunter going Crusader was really good on his part. Made his energy consumption, made his energy costs lower, and actually had more impact because Slayer on Slayer isn't very practical in fights. So also the speed boost really let him chase better. In my opinion, Trigger Happy Havoc doesn't really need many changes here. Vertex didn't take his explosive battle rifle both these rounds, so if he took it, the match could go differently as he could lay down artillery from the back lines when he's low or regenerating. It would also pressure Trigger Happy Havoc more to target Vertex, because currently he hasn't been able to dish out much of his heavy burst damage. He's been just constantly hounded and forced to retreat, which isolates Nep to a death. Which is actually what happened in that last round.
Yeah, honestly, I think both teams could make some surprise adjustments here. I think Trigger Happy Havoc made the adjustments that they needed to win that match. So it's up to the ball is now in Guns N Mohawks court to decide how they're going to respond to that.
Something I could see would be Doc bringing BR. He did
Yeah, if
that
they
in
wanted
this
to up
last
the
game.
game here and focus double down the long term fire. But that being said, Grief took out Stan with melee. I don't think Grief landed a hit with his sniper this match. I know
Hmm.
the first match he got taken out pretty early, but the second one, I think, for the most part, he was just going all in on melee to try to run down Stan, which was a good move, as we saw.
Hmm. Yeah, we don't want another repeat of their first encounter in the tournament. All right, game has begun. Oh, net misclick there. Doc still with his SMG's double hunter this time. No loadout changes on Gunter. Vertex has taken explosive battle rifle. No loadout changes on Grief or Stan or Nep. Seems Vertex spotted Gunter already. Takes a few shots but doesn't land a hit. Grief is chasing Stan here. 3 hits. 120 damage. Stan's on 80 without stability. Ooh, but
Dep's
Nep.
coming in on Doc. Oh, bomblets are chasing Grief. Ooh, Nep actually took a bit of the bomblet damage there. On accident. Oh, lands one hit on Grief, but Grief is cutting away at Nep.
Grief
Hunter
has
came in.
done 80.
Nep is
Stands down
got
a
wall
leg,
up early.
Nep
He's
is almost
trying to
dead.
recover.
If Doc shoots any... Doc. And down goes Nep. Now Vertex is still relatively unscathed here.
He's trying to hunt down Doc and avenge his teammate. Let's see if he can pull it off here. There it is. A couple
Doc's
hits,
barrier
another.
can change this. Yep, his barrier is out. Gunter's moving to support Doc.
Vertex taking some damage there. Ooh. Oh, missed opportunity by Grief, who did not realize Vertex was right behind him. Close quarters. Oh,
Doc's chip damage
there it is. Chest blown out.
relentless.
Vertex having to manage that high radar signature when he's
Now we
using
have
double
another
dodge.
repeat of... Ooh, I don't think Ricochet is able to do damage to that. Gunter's down on a leg here. Stan running
is attempting
around,
to fall back
trying to...
and see what he can do at a distance.
Yeah. I'll stay on the team of 3. You can get on Stan. Has Grief spotted Stan? Grief has! Grief misses the shot. Has to be careful of Stan's Ricochet. I'm pretty sure he's told his teammates where he is by now. And are they closing in on him?
They sure are.
I think they've lost him. Oh, no, Grief may have spotted Stan.
Don't think Stan has had time to set up a trap zone from the get-go, so unfortunately there is not a place that he might be able to fall back to and hole up in. That being said, even if there was, Grief using a sniper rifle is going to make that very difficult either way.
Grief has found Stan. No, turn around. There he is. He goes swinging. I think he's lost him again.
Oh!
Did he see him?
Stan fell through the map there for a second. Good ship damage, good ship damage.
Grief may want to back off a bit here.
Grief's super on the side of his barrier.
Running to support.
Stan's falling back to reposition, but yeah, Grief got very lucky there that he was not finished off in the slightest, showing just how dangerous Stan is, even when in a 3v1 situation, as long as he can keep distance. However,
Let's
Gunter
go,
is going to
Gunter.
close that
Gunter.
distance. Whoa. If he doesn't, yep, there it is. He's out of
Teaming it
springboards,
here. But
and Gunter forced him out of his hole, and unfortunately, he turned right, and that's the exact direction Grief was coming from. All right, well, Trigger Happy Havocs have taken a 2-1 lead in this match. We'll see if the last round is the final round of the Fusion Cup. All right, so another fairly quick round here in the grand scheme of things. Again, with Doc putting in a lot of work with those homing SMGs. Really taking advantage of the high radar signature that Vertex puts off. But early on, it's a lot of close range action as Nep and Gunter squared off. But both teams early on, it seemed like they were going to try to spread the distance a bit more, with Nep trying to focus down Doc, who was quite the menace to them last time, before catching sight of Grief. And right here, we'll see a little bit of bomblet on teammate action here, as Nep took 8 from that, and then took Grief coming right out of the bomblet smoke to land several blows, along with Doc supporting with Hunter at a distance, forcing Nep to run. Nep trying his best here to get away as Trigger Happy Havocs were homing him down. Vertex attempting to help. I think it might have been good that he got taken down there, because I think that bomb explosive BR trajectory might have taken him out if Doc hadn't here, because look, you see Nep's right there, goes forward, and then the bomb is right on the path. That might have ended badly either way there for Nep. Now Vertex attempting to right here. I think this is going to be something that's going to be on Vertex's mind this next match, as he's trying to lock down Doc, a wounded Doc, but unfortunately he's not able to secure it and loses a decent chunk of health in exchange. Right there as well. I mean, obviously it didn't bite them in the end, but I think that's going to be something on Grief's going to look back at and kind of be like, "Woof, glad it didn't matter in the end here." As right there, as Grief has his back turned, did not see Vertex there at all. Vertex, however, wasn't ready to rip into Grief either. So neither side engaged. He turned, he tried to lay the hits as he realized what an opportunity he had there, but unfortunately was not able to secure the kill.
I think that shot alone and those 2 shots on Gunter made him prime target for Doc's homing.
Oh yeah, taking those shots at Grief spiked his homing, and then Doc spiked his radar sig, and Doc's homing took care of the rest, as they now attempted to hunt down Stan. And Stan put in good work trying to keep at distance here, but Trigger Happy Havoc just continued to hound away at him until in the end,
Grief's early
Stan
damage really did
succumbed
actually
to the
impact
3-on-1.
this.
Yeah, we see right up here, Stan's attempting to kind of get a little bit of a trap zone here. Fell through the map, ignore that.
From my
But then
perspective, I thought
sees
Grief lost
Grief,
him.
gets one hit, goes right. Grief attempts to barrier, but Ricochet is getting in the hits from behind, and Grief was down to like about 20 health at this point, but he correctly rotated towards the beach, eliminating the Ricochet angles that could come at him, and was able to stay alive long enough to force Stan to retreat before Grief's teammates showed up. We see here, Stan's trying to get a bit of traps set up here, but didn't realize how close Gunter was. Gunter gets one hit in there. Stan manages to avoid dying to the killing blow, but turned right, and that's the exact direction Grief was still coming from their earlier fight. And there goes Stan. So excellent little bit of teamwork there, a little bit of bad luck from Stan as well. He had 2 directions to go, and unfortunately he picked the one that Grief is coming at. Hate to see it, but things like that happen.
Right, we still have 45 seconds left, so what predictions do you could are you making?
I think really it's all going to come down to Guns and Mohawks' ability to adapt to what Trigger Happy Havoc are laying on them at the moment. I think the big thing is they're playing a bit aggressively, given that that's playing right into Trigger Happy Havoc's hands here. Vertex especially has to be very careful about going in because that radar spike is just giving Doc an opportunity to rip into him with homing weapons every single time. I think if they played a bit tighter, played a bit more conservatively, play back, allow buy time for Stan to get a trap zone set up, and then really work as a team with Nep and Vertex going in to try to avoid getting caught out in the open or to very quickly run down a target before the other team's allies can back them up. I think that's probably going to give them their best bet there. Like if Nep had fallen back a bit more when Doc was fighting him, Vertex was right there. Vertex might have been able to help switch that into a 2v1 before Doc's teammates could have showed up. So ultimately, I think it's going to be a test of aggressiveness for Guns and Mohawks and see if they can rein that back in a bit and play a bit more conservatively, see if they can find the opportunities to work there instead of trying to just go in, weapons blazing, and take out the enemy team as quick as they can. All right. No, and let me go ahead and join the match here. It is now, Katashi might be having some computer scuff at the moment. Let me start my stream.
I forgot the speak on stage thing.
Oh,
I
okay, good.
I
You're
get
good. Okay, cool. I can stop streaming then. And they are
Alright,
off.
the match has begun. Stan's trapping with a normal loadout, I assume. Gunter, no changes. Nep, no changes. Vertex battle rifle-less. Again.
Yeah.
What's
Interesting.
that? Nep.
Ooh, early hits
Gunter.
there.
Early.
Ooh, Grief
Doc
took a
moving
bit of a
in.
bounder there from I believe Nep.
Doc's team having taken early damage while Nep's side. Nep and Vertex completely untouched. Same with Stan. These blinks are very disorienting for me. Doc's
taking
homing.
over under half
Doesn't
health
get
at
many
this point,
tags,
down
but
an arm.
does. That homing did look cool.
Nep tries to figure out where he's best needed here.
Grief scares off
This is
Vertex.
with a bounder, attempting to close the distance here on Doc. Ooh, takes a bit of damage there from Stan
Grief,
at a distance.
2 hits on Stan. And
down
Stan's
goes
dead.
Stan with Grief, hunting him down with melee, unable to get away.
Good job on Gunter for distracting him. Now they are down a man. Now Nep is 152 health. Doc spots. Does he see him? Nep fires a hunter. Doc returns, but none of them. Doc successfully drives Vertex back. Grief hasn't taken any more damage since then. Gunter's particularly low here. Running around with bomblets, making trails. Gets hunted by Nep.
Gunter down to 30 health, down a leg.
Nep does 8
Nep can
damage
close
to
the
him.
distance on that.
Vertex closing in behind Doc.
Down goes Gunter with an excellent Slayer kill by Nep, but Grief is right on him now. And down goes Nep from Grief melee, capitalizing on that, making sure Gunter's sacrifice was not in vain.
Vertex had a huge flank there, but unfortunately was unable to capitalize on it. Vertex still going in. 2v1 against Vertex. Great usage of barrier from Grief there.
I'll stay on Vertex.
And with Vertex. Still can't believe everyone's using barrier.
I'm on Vertex, Katashi.
Okay. going from the
One
left
hit,
here.
2 hit,
But Vertex
3
very
hit,
close to
4
Doctor.
hit. Vertex forced to run down to 21 health, but
barrier.
Doc is now very weak. Just attempts to get away here.
On 25. Doc slowly regenerating.
Now, something that Vertex can take advantage of. Stan did get some traps up. So if Vertex can play this smart,
Zero split Hunter.
Stan has been dead long enough that the other team might have forgotten.
Doc has no
1 hit.
ammo. Grief stuck in Stan's traps.
Yeah, there's that trap factor.
But Doc
has
successfully
ammo
able to drive
again.
Vertex off. Putting suppressive fire with his one arm remaining.
This is a very key match, folks, because it all comes down to Vertex to see if we go to another round or not. Sees an opportunity. Down goes Doc! It is now 1v1! Vertex
Unfortunately,
versus
Grief straight a bit
Grief.
far there. But 2 hits can end it all for Vertex.
And down
there
goes
he
Vertex!
goes!
It is over!
Trigger Happy Havoc take the crown.
Grief closing the distance with melee and bringing down Vertex. This is the end of the match. Trigger Happy Havoc
Congratulations,
winning
Trigger Happy Havoc.
3-1. And yeah, very early on, the longest it was in a 3v3 situation here for this match, the tournament here. You can see very early on, Stan doing chip damage, Gunter going down an arm and down early, getting hounded by both Hunter and Stan's BR. Nep attempting to bring down Doc, but Doc staying just out of way. As Vertex.
Yeah, Grief gets Stan there by that building in front of Vertex.
Yep, right there is where Stan goes down on the other side. The team tries to reset a bit here to handle Vertex, and I believe
Yep.
Doc fires off, knowing Nep's over there trying
Nep
to do his
fires a Hunter,
best.
Doc returns
Intercepts
fire,
the
and
Hunter.
Doc blocks his first Hunter.
And then right here is when Vertex attempts to bring down Grief, but is unable to capitalize. As Vertex regroups with Nep, and both teams square back off again, battle positioning as Gunter runs around the left side. A big factor, I think, in this one is, again, it's the coordination on Trigger Happy Havoc worked very, very well. The three of them kind of interchanging themselves positioning-wise, being able to jump in when the other person needs it. And then right here, Gunter runs in, Nep turns, brings down Gunter, but Grief immediately jumps into the fray here and makes sure that Gunter did not go down
That combo from Doc too.
unnecessarily.
Doc's sending in Ricochet SMGs.
Yeah,
and while
right
this fight was
here,
happening,
right
Vertex
there,
is actually flanking.
that is a nasty bit of combo right there.
Yeah,
'cause
and
Grief's
while this is happening,
and then a
Vertex is
mess
actually
of that.
flanking Doctor. Like you can see in the background there, Vertex was running
Yep.
around, but he unfortunately was only able to do about 20 damage to Doc before Doc turned, blocked, and Grief got out of the building and went to support Doc.
Yep, and then
Which is
after
where we
that,
are now.
3-on-1 as Grief is trying to get around these barrier users, and is forced to fall back because he can't fully unload, because every time he does that, radar signature spikes, and that is to Doc's delight. He was just going to
Pesky
unload
barrier
with homing
users.
on. There's a hit there, 2 hit,
Doc
3
is
hit,
very
trying to
low
bring
here.
down.
He has like 12 HP, I
Also
think.
unloading, knowing that if Vertex goes down, that's the match. Worth going for broke. But Vertex also knowing that is falling back at 21 health. But he did enough damage to Doc to keep Doc from being able to do a full pursuit here. Being in a 2v1 situation. But yeah, right here, Vertex falling back into some of the traps that Stan had set up previously as he starts hunting down Doc. And those traps did play a bit of a factor here as he's trying to get around. And where that would have been a great time for Grief to drop in here, Grief, unfortunately, stuck in the remainder of Stan's caltrops, took a bit of damage there, had to fall back out of it, which prevented Vertex from getting run up on. So Stan is still assisting his team even from the death. Vertex falls back here, and then
Good
here is
block
a
on the
critical
hunter.
moment. Vertex drops down, trying to figure out what his next play is going to be. Goes up, sees Doc come up. Doc moves to the right, but then flicks way too far around, and Vertex just unloads right into Doc's back, bringing him down, making it a
And while
1v1.
Vertex goes around that little ledge here, Grief was going over that rooftop because he
Yep.
expected Vertex to go over there, which, because Grief strayed a bit too far, Doc was left alone and Vertex was able to pick him off. But
Yeah,
ultimately, Grief was able to still get Vertex.
yeah, and unfortunately, Grief fell back. Vertex fell back through a roofed area, which I think might have been why he couldn't just springboard away here. And was unable to get to like a blink earlier. He fell back right here, and Grief just charged right in with the Masamune speed boost and ripped into Vertex, bringing the match to a close here.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Congrats
Hello.
on your tournament win. Um, bef- congrats on winning the first ever Fusion Cup. How do you feel right now, first of all?
I can hardly believe it. That sounds sarcastic, but I actually can hardly believe it. Um, yeah, I that really could have gone either way, especially considering that we played this team before and they'd beaten us then. Um, and I guess also since we did not do very well in the first game of this round, I was a little worried that we might end up going 0-3, which I really did not want to see that happen.
Mm,
Just wanted to make sure that the audience had a good show in the finals of the Fusion Cup.
Oh, I think
But
they definitely did.
yeah, though I kind of think we managed to turn the pretty rough loss in that first game in our favor because we really had to stop and kind of talk out our strategy, change some equipment, and figure out what we were going to do. And that combined with some extremely fortunate map generations that made it almost impossible to use the ricochet battle rifle against us, I think really favored us. So given larger maps with better ricochet opportunities, I think it would have gone differently.
Gunter's choice on changing to Crusader was very large and really turned the tide in that second round and onwards. Was there a reason for that? What made you choose
Yeah.
that?
No, go on.
No, no, go on.
Okay. So, reason why was specifically because I went Slayer's not cutting it, and I just need to go for speed. And so I just went, let's go ahead and place traps. Let's go ahead and counter traps with traps.
So you fought fire with that loadout.
hmm
Hmm.
And
Yeah, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah, and it worked great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Going into the match, what was the first thing you guys focused on most?
Stan.
Yeah, our
Stan.
our strategy going in was we've just got to rush straight through them and just focus on Stan. And then that tactic basically in the first game fell apart when we encountered Nep and then Vertex before we were able to find Stan. Which after that we were like, okay, we've got to get back to the plan, which is find Stan.
I see, I
Yes, and
see.
it's not something to be trifled with. And even in that last
Sorry,
match,
Stan.
even after Stan's death, Grief got caught up in those caltrops there
I think
towards
this
the
Yeah.
end.
I think this just shows how impactful Stan's BR and traps are. You can't let him
Yeah,
live.
I will say all of the members of their team individually are very strong, but Vertex and Nep are not as much of like a force multiplier as Stan is, and the longer we leave him alive, the worse it is, right? Because he's accumulating traps, he's bouncing at us from angles, so we can't heal while we're being chased, and so he's really the one that like the longer Stan is in the game, the harder it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe as evidenced by that one where he played previously, where it was like a 20-minute match of him and Grief facing off.
God, that was hell to edit. What did you guys as a team feel was the biggest impact in this match that led to your win?
Stan.
Stan.
I think it was the map generation, which is another way of
That
saying
too.
Stan.
Well, Stan really is just such a big factor in this game.
I mean, okay, Sandwich is not completely wrong about the battle rifle thing. I think he's like the ricochet battle rifle in the hands of someone who's good at using it. I mean, I managed to make really good use of it in the previous round, even though I don't have a lot of practice with it. It's a pretty good weapon, but it is reliant on having map generation that works well with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have a good eye for the terrain, as Grief did, Grief got brought down to about 20 health in that last round at one point. But
Mhm.
Grief, I don't know if it was intentional or not, you rotated towards the water, which eliminated things for Ricochet to go off of.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I did try to find positions where, like, during this entirety of the Fusion Cup, I've been relying on thinking of positioning a lot. So I'm glad that it actually did make an impact.
Hmm. Looking back from now, for when you started the tournament compared to now, do you think you've grown at all, learned anything, and is there anything you'd like to share towards newer players?
Don't be late.
That last time, I really thought I was gonna have to fight their entire team.
Look, if things just came up, I didn't expect that to. I'm so sorry, but yeah, I'm glad I could make it.
We are too. So
Yeah,
aside from
we
that,
are. Yeah, we're very. I was like, I had such a huge rush of relief when when Gunter announced that he was available very soon. I was like super happy.
so aside
Same.
from that, in game wise,
So, one thing that I would maybe want to note is it kind of seems like over the course of the tournament, the meta of the game overall has changed slightly, which is at the beginning of it, there were like two people using barriers, and now everyone is taking barrier. Like, even at least by my recollection, Vertex has never used barrier before, and this match he was using barrier. And so
Probably
now it feels like barrier is a fundamental part of the game that basically everyone is using. And previously it was like a niche thing that Sandwich had really popularized, and then I think Mika and I started using it, and now it feels like everyone's using it.
Mm. I think Merlin used it
Mm.
back then too, though.
Ah, that was so long ago.
That was so long. Yeah. Are there any comments you'd like to give to newer players? Any tips? Any
anyone you want to
suggestions?
thank?
Yeah.
I have one tip. I have one tip.
Go ahead.
Stan.
Take Stan at all
Uh,
costs.
I
Um,
mean, I would like to thank the tournament organizers. You guys have been great, and everyone that's done the commentary.
Guys, let's give a
I guess
hand
for
for Grief and his chibi art, and for preparing the
yeah,
first slideshow presentation thing. Because I've just been copying, pasting, and like making slight adjustments. He's the one who really upped the quality overall.
yeah, I would say if for some of the like Grief's chibi art memes that have not made it in, you should show some of them because the people
I
who
should.
haven't who might be tuning into this years
Oh,
in the
shit.
future, watching this historic moment, won't have get to see the ones
Ancient
in the
memes.
chat. Yeah, the ancient memes, we've got
Ancient
to
tunes
immortalize them.
scribed
This is
by
real.
by Globe Gear and by
Yeah, this is
Globe
Yeah.
Library of
scribes.
Congress stuff. We need to archive this for future generations.
Yeah, make sure it's not a Library of Alexandria situation.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna
no,
put it in
I
the yeah.
I did want to say for
Nope.
anyone tuning into this who's like less familiar with the community of this game, hi, I'm Dr. Science. I made this game. I do want to say that having made this game, did not I think did not specifically give us any advantages. Nothing, despite some of the accusations being, I think, humorously thrown in the chat.
Well,
We did not alter any of the map seed values.
hold on. There is one
Um,
thing that you did help me with because you made the game. I can ask you questions like, "Hey, does this buff apply during X?" And you're like, "No." I was like, "Oh, well, thank you for clarifying."
Okay, but actually, Flicked probably knows more about that than I do because I'm not always right. The thing about like programming stuff is that it doesn't always work exactly how you intend, and since he's determined it experimentally, sometimes his assessments are actually more accurate when the numbers don't do exactly what they're supposed to.
Flick just said,
But
"Doctor, act Doctor Silence, shot a trap with Ricochet." Shake my head.
I mean, I did do that. I was just cleaning up some traps.
Yeah.
Ricochet.
Don't think.
But no, but it's really cool that the people who organized this whole tournament and did all the presentations and did the artwork and the slideshows and everything are not the development team of the game. This was completely like a fan organized thing, and that's really exciting for me.
Oh my god, I
Remember
still
this.
haven't made the playlist for all the VODs yet.
Uh,
I said I'd do it 3 weeks ago.
Okay, but you didn't even have all the videos until now,
That's fair.
so I would
I
just
still
use
don't
that
have
as an
all of them.
excuse if I were you.
But, yep,
Uh,
that's fair. Yeah.
But,
Okay, so my brain forgot what I was going to say, but I kind of was curious. Grief, what are your thoughts personally?
Oh, mine? Uh, okay. So one thing I would do want to give a tip to players is you should like if for things like this, you tend to learn with observation, but I do think the best way to improve upon this game, if you're really stuck, is literally asking for to anybody. Uh like you can ask people, "Hey, what am I doing wrong here?" or "Do you see any mistakes I did over here?" And you can ask that to anybody. We don't even have dedicated squads. And even then, it's easy to like talk to people in the server, and they'll give you like valid ideas to go upon. And I really like that on this community.
Yeah. And try stuff. I think that's an important thing too,
Oh, try stuff,
because
yeah.
when you do talk to people and they recommend things, people do have a tendency of recommending the stuff that they use. And everyone thinks that, everyone has a specific thing that they think is overpowered and a specific thing that they think is underpowered and whatever. But just try stuff, right? Like stuff works differently for different people.
Funny.
In this past game, Gunter started using um, caster programs, which he hadn't really used much before, and at least got a decent bit of traction out of that. Used Crusader, which was not being used that much before. I would say in general, like I'm gonna try new things in the middle of a tournament. Not always it worked in this case, but not always the best play. But like take some time playing with different things. And even if the top ranked players say that it's not that good, you might find that in your hands it works really well. And despite the fact that the like numbers in the game haven't been changed in a couple months, like I noted before, the meta of what people are using has changed. Just as people find, oh, actually using this specific strategy, this weapon is really good or whatever. So
Funnily
like try stuff.
enough, the only reason why Ricochet battle rifle or battle rifle in general is meta right now is because someone went and tried them and used them in a match, and everyone was like, "Yo, that's pretty good." Because back then there were no balance changes have been made to battle rifle.
Nope.
It just remained the same, and then
Hmm.
suddenly someone named Turtle picked it up and used it in a match just to get
Correct.
100% other in his pie chart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100
it's pretty.
other
The big one, yeah.
It pretty quickly went from like the junk variant that no one used to the weapon that people were calling to have it rebalanced for being too strong.
Yeah. And then after he picked it up, I picked it up to get to Masterclass Gunner, and that just led to a larger influx of battle rifle users, which today there are like at least 5.
It seems like there's probably more battle rifle users at the moment than there are like conventional snipers,
Yeah.
which I hope we can change in the future with like better performance and larger maps. So stay tuned for the next update someday.
Yay!
All right,
There's your
well-
little tease, folks.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, everyone, and congratulations once again, Trigger Happy Havoc, for winning this tournament. I don't have a award.
Thank
I'm
you,
sorry.
host.
Yeah, you get bragging
Ooh,
rights.
This
Oh.
one's for you, Danganronpa fans. I still don't really know what that is.
That's okay.
Yeah, do I.
How about the doc? I should probably help our team with this right here. I'm gonna give them a piece of advice. Crusader should have a longboard skin.
Okay, let's talk about that later.
All right, moving you guys
Yep.
back to the audience.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Congratulations.
Oops.
Dude.
There we go. But yeah, that's Trigger Happy Havoc, folks. Thank you for answering some questions there. Congrats again on your hard-fought victory.
And Nep's going boo. Nice try, Guns N Mohawks. You did very well. Congratulations. We're very grateful that you've attended all our matches, watched all our VODs, participated in this tournament, and this couldn't have been made without everyone participating, giving me their schedule so I could schedule them. Everyone played their part, and I'm very thankful for what you guys have done. And this event was a blast. So thank you, everyone. And
huge shout out to Katashi, guys.
once again, I'm Katashi,
and
your host for the Globe News channel. From north to south, east to west, we at Globe News channel got you covered on whatever happens in the Globe Glop scene. And I will be signing out. Thank you, everyone.
Wave goodbye to the past when